Hello, welcome to the 199 Unlisted podcast. My name is Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. Usually wearing clothes. Ask Anna. Gosh, she hasn't used that name in a long time. Anna Ames has a new video that we can react to. She had two previous ones, but one of them was she was on the pop the balloon challenge with like Kai Sinet, and she's not gonna date a monkey or any, it's whatever. Um, and then another one, she's like on a boat in a lake. Like, who cares about that? Anyway, this one, she's giving advice, and once again on this channel, we react to people who give bad advice, or people who are fake. Anyway, why sprinkle advice doesn't work for regular women? Now, the only problem with Anna MS, is that she hasn't been a regular woman ever since she became a sex worker. A stripper is not a regular woman, and their life is just so unrelatable to a regular woman. I don't see how they could give advice or pretend to be a regular woman. It's like a trad wife can't give advice on how to be the best escort ever. The best escort ever can't give advice on how to be a trad wife because just your worldviews are so warped. But anyway, she's gonna say why sprinkle advice doesn't work for regular women. And also sprinkle advice doesn't work for any women because these women are going after like the top 10% of men, and those men have options, and men with options aren't going to stay with a woman who is difficult, you know? And so any woman with the sprinkle mentality is difficult to you know, use a broad stroke. Anyway, let's see what's going on.
Hello, everyone. Today we are going to have a serious discussion about Shira 7 because many people listen to her, myself included, and
That's
I
not
have
good.
some criticisms of her.
Okay, so this is good because this is bad advice inception. So you have a woman who gives really bad advice is going to react and correct another woman that gives really bad advice, and then I'm going to look at them both and give advice.
And what she preaches. And I'm an exotic dancer.
I don't know why she won't wear her hair that like she did that one time in the bun. For some reason, she looks really good when she wears a bun. And that's usually the complete opposite of most women. But I don't know, it does something, it makes her face look better, which is once again the opposite of what usually happens when a girl wears her hair down. But anyway,
Stripper, right?
sex
And
worker.
everything that I have seen from Shira 7, it's like it's trying to turn the 9 to 5 girlies into sex workers. And then she looks down on actual sex workers. So, there is a famous quote. I don't know who said it, but it's that we are all sex workers in our own right. And I believe there are two different types of relationships.
Oh
You
god.
have
uh you are not all sex workers. Only sex workers are sex workers. Only women who do stuff for money. I mean, who do sex stuff for money. So if you're a woman and you only date rich guys because you have access to their money, that's a sex worker too. But the reason why Sprinkle's looking down on quote unquote real sex workers is because when you're that open about being like, I do porn, I'm an OnlyFans girl. Your life is completely different the girl who than the gold digger girl, because the gold digger girl still has a chance to meet normal people. There's still a chance, and the people in her life, there's a good chance they're going to be normal. But the stripper isn't, because the average normal person doesn't want to be involved or be friends with a person who's a sex worker, OnlyFans girl, whatever. How many videos have we seen on our time on the internet of people going, I regret doing porn, I regret being or having an OnlyFans. My parents stopped talking to me, I lost friends, blah 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 blah. Like, everyone I meet treats me like a piece of meat. So there is a difference.
Have the provider relationship where you get with a man, you're stuck with him, he marries you, whatever, you have kids, he pays for everything, but you're stuck. That's still a form of sex work.
Yeah, and also that's right there. That's her warped view of feminism coming through. Being a housewife and having kids is not being stuck. That is something you should strive to be. You should strive to have a happily, have a happy marriage, have kids, have a stable home. That's not being stuck. That's great. Being a mom is a very important job. It gives the man the opportunity to go out and make the money that can support the family, so you're not stuck. Like, you can you can still go out, like when the man comes home, if you want to go out to brunch with your best friend Lisa, you're allowed to. Or she can come over, whatever. Like, these people act like being a housewife is slavery, but it's not. They're just being brainwashed. I think working a 9 to 5 for a company or a boss that doesn't give a rat's ass about you, that's more like slavery. But imagine, quote unquote, working for your family. I think there's a lot more freedom being a housewife, a mom, just just or just in a committed relationship where you have two people working together to make both each to make each other's life easier.
And then you have the other where I guess you can call it tricking. I don't know. Because tricking means that you have to actually give up sex. So I wouldn't say that like it's the end all be all, but there is a way to, if you are a stripper, sex worker, like there is a way.
Well, don't you think dancing naked on a man's lap is sex work? And then you have to realize it, like, it's people want to get off. So if someone pays you whatever, $50 to kick him in the balls because that's what they're into, instead of being paid $50 to whatever have sex, it's still sex to the person paying for it. So I don't think sex workers should, oh, but I'm not a sex worker, but I don't think sex workers should be like, well, I only dance naked, so I'm better than the girl who gives golden showers, and then the girl that gives golden showers, well, I only give golden showers, so I'm better than the girl who goes to hotel rooms with guys and has sex. So you're all in the same boat, okay?
To get money from men for um, favors and teasing, but not necessarily sexual acts. And my biggest issue with Shira 7 is that she is teaching everyone how to be this when she has lived this. And I think it's very unhealthy for young girls to be listening to, because even as a stripper now, there are some harsh truths that I recognize.
So you're a
I'm
whore?
25. I'm not planning on being in this industry hopefully past 30. We'll see.
Wow. She's already approaching the wall. And so 5 years from now, she sees herself still stripping. That's sad. She is at the end of her peak fertility right now at 25. Um, if this keeps going, she will never have a husband. She will never have kids, and then she'll be 36 with baby fever, and then get pissed off because she's not fertile enough to have a kid. I mean, she is the perfect example of what not to do. And her biggest gripe right now is a woman that gives horrible advice is, calling all you guys sex workers. I mean, it's you gotta wake up.
I don't know. I might just do it for fun after that. We'll see. Well, I really like what I do. We'll see, but I'm not trying.
Wait, wait, wait. So you really like dancing naked on men's laps for $10 a dance? How do you really like being a stripper? That makes no sense. Unless that's how, and that's, I mean, unless that's her kink. Like, I like going to a club where everyone who comes in is just, a sex fiend, and I walk around naked. Like that is some satanic bullshit, man. That's all that is.
Trying to beat it past that, and I recognize that my ability to sustain myself is on me and it's not on any man that I date. And every man that I have dated, it has not been transactional. Like, obviously, when I go out with them, they pay for everything, but I'm not expecting whatever man I'm with to be paying my rent and all my bills. And I don't think I should be, because obviously, I have all these other men that I.
She sounds like a catch. She really does. And I don't think she realizes that every man she's dated was only with her because they wanted to get laid. Because they had this idea in their head, hey, I'm with a stripper. Trust me, because none of those men stayed because they didn't take the relationship seriously. They were just trying to get laid, you know? And of course, they paid for everything when you guys went out because they already know where you associate men with money. So you're just like, oh, I'll just buy her dinner. I'm gonna get laid. It's not that hard to figure out.
Cater to that should be doing that. And the reason I feel like she's so successful is because she is selling a dream that
And
you
women
can
are
be
stupid.
a 9 to 5 girl and find some man who is just going to automatically fall in love with you, some rich man who's going to fall in love with you and want to provide for you and take care of you, and then you stop working.
See, another thing, there's less and less rich men. And so, because men in general have just dropped out of society. And so, because women aren't men's motivation anymore, because, the reason why men are lawyers and doctors and, just, entrepreneurs, just doing things that make lots and lots of money. A big motivation for that is to get a hot chick and have kids. And because women are so insufferable, and then like you have the Me Too bullshit and like women going online and making a video. This man looked at me, and it's the end of the world. So men are just like, I really don't need the drama. I don't need the stress. And the problem, well, not a problem, but the difference between men and women is like women need men. Men, well, they don't. I mean, if they want to have a kid, obviously, but even then, if a man's rich, he can just buy a kid. He can like buy some eggs and just get a woman to be the surrogate. And I've seen a few really really rich men who have done that. I mean, not personally, but just I've seen stories where like a really rich man doesn't want to get married, but he still wants kids, so he uh gets a surrogate, gets he buys some eggs, fertilizes the egg, and he has kids like that. So women are losing out. And then the men who are, the top quality men who are rich, they're dating like, 5 or 6 women at the same time because they have options. So, because it's like the gap between rich men and just your average man. See, because like women will see an average man, an average guy, he's invisible. So, you know, the gap is getting like bigger and bigger between the ideal man that women want and then the average guy. And so, that's why like you'll see like a lot of people used to go, women just want the top 20% of men, but if you notice like the past couple of years it's been men want the top 10%. You know, like there'll be a guy who's making whatever, like 75K a year, and a woman will still go, "Oh, well, no, I want a guy that makes 100K," because it's not his money, it's our money. But like just women have a horrible mentality.
And it's like she's trying to start it over in this category of the sex work category and then shift you over to the provider category when it does not work like that. It doesn't. Maybe in a rare case, but it doesn't. Like, to get to the provider category, you already have to be a pretty self sustaining woman with a job, with all your own shit, or the man's not even going to respect you enough in the first place to even want to provide for you.
She's completely wrong. Men don't care about a woman's education. They don't care about a woman's status. They don't care where she lives. They don't care what kind of car she drives. The only thing men care about when it comes to women is what they look like, their age, and their personality. Because a man does not have access to a woman's money. A man does not have access to a woman's whatever car or house, or it's just men don't care. I don't know why she doesn't understand that. Has a man ever dated her because of her apartment? Has a man ever dated her because of her college degree? No. I I've I can think back to every girl I've dated, and their education meant nothing. I could care less, because and some of them I didn't even know what their education was. It did not matter.
And you shouldn't even be in that situation. Like, I have so many stories of girls that I know who have tried to turn this into this, and it doesn't work. Like, for example, I know a girl who she had some guy pay her rent for a year. And crazy story, actually. I went on one date with that guy, and I don't remember why I didn't like him, but I didn't like him. And then he met my friend, and I hope she's doing well. I have a lot of love for her. I The situation she was in was just kind of awful though. Um, but he went out with her. She started a relationship with him. He got her her own apartment, paid for it. But this man had a key and he could come and go whenever he wanted. And she ended up going broke. And that's like kind of her own fault too, because she didn't get another job besides what she had. But then it's like jobs are not paying enough, which
Well, see, he was paying for sex. Well, that's the thing. Like, you take care of a woman, and you're in a relationship with a woman, and since you're taking care of her, the trade off is I have access to sex anytime, and he's paying for the apartment, so of course he has a key, and of course he can come and go as he pleases. Th- What do you expect? I mean, like some of these women have weird expectations of men. Like they want the man to pay for everything, but only talk to her once a week or something like that. Like it doesn't work like that. And yeah, if she ended up broke, she should have at least had a part-time job. And I once, but see, but this person's probably stupid.
again, that is why this dream that Shira's selling, that if you just, go on some dates and charge the man and expect him to pay all your bills, like that's why the dream is so successful because we are in a struggling economy. That's why. But anyways, this girl, she was in that situation, and then she just like eventually went broke, and then he was driving her to the club, and this man had a whole other family, and he put her up, and he went broke because of that.
He went broke. Man, the vagina must have been really good. That's all I gotta say.
And then I know another girl too, and she was in the same situation. And then that girl, like, again, everything was paid for, a nice apartment, but the girl also went broke because she decided she was going to rely on this rich man. And now this rich man has been like terrorizing her. She can't get a job anywhere else because he'll find her and then he'll talk to whoever's in charge of the place and get her fired.
I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. That's that sounds like one of those stories where like when a woman breaks up with a man and they go, "Oh, he was abusive the whole time," but they dated for like 5 years. Like, okay, sure.
Like, that is the danger of dating these rich,
No, it's
powerful
not.
men that
No,
everyone
it's
wants
not.
to be after.
No,
Like,
it's not.
once you get involved enough,
If a man is that rich, it means he's actually busy doing something. He doesn't have time to stock vagina at its new job and get it fired. He just doesn't have that time. Because if you think of women like that, then you don't actually care. Like you just think women are a life support system for a vagina or whatever you're into. So he really doesn't think that. If I had like a hot Korean girlfriend, I'm not going to, and we break up, I'm not going to stalk her because it's like I'm only into her because of certain aesthetics. And so that's easily replaceable on another chick because, you know, they're just meant for you to look at and get off. So I'm not invested in, I'm going to stalk you and make sure you can't get a job at McDonald's. So that's why I just don't believe it.
it is very hard to leave. And men with power, it is hard to leave. And when you're dependent on them and then you create that power imbalance, it's like they feel like they can do whatever they want to and get away with it. That's why the respect thing is always so important for me.
See, and the thing with her, the good thing she does is she talks with confidence, and if you talk and sound like you know what you're talking about, that can fool a lot of people, and that can get you a lot of followers. So she's doing really good on that. So good for you, Anna.
And again, a man is not going to respect you if you have your hand out. And even me stripping,
Which is you having your hand out. I mean, your vagina out. Okay.
it took me a minute to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, but now that I know, it's like the first thing I tell anybody now is that I'm getting my master's. Like, I am getting the fuck out of here. You are not going to see me forever. Like, you think you will, but you're not.
You don't have a choice. Once you hit I mean, it depends how you take care of yourself, but we're gonna use the age where things usually go down, go south. Once she hits 30, she's gonna probably be fired from the strip club or probably have to move because they have strip clubs that like specialize with like milfs, like chicks and older chicks, and or she'll be the one chick that is the specialty chick. I remember watching HBO and there was I forget it was just like some special and they had a strip club where they had a couple of fat chicks because there are men who are into that. Like they had like regular chicks and then a couple of fat chicks and an older chick. So it's like their times were set so people who are really into it and it was a big place. They had other rooms, but like you can go to the fat room, you can go to the old room, but how many clubs are like that? But that's her future.
Not. And I feel like it creates so much more respect. And every man that I've dated, not everyone's been loaded, but at least everyone has been pretty well off. And they've all been smarter than me older than me. Hi, baby. Well, not funnier. I'm usually the funny one. But yeah, I would say smarter and older, and all of them have been very experienced in the industries that I'm interested in. And I feel like that's honestly worth more than somebody paying your rent. Like, if you get around somebody who talks about wanting to buy another business and then telling you about the other business that they're managing, and that becomes your baseline for
What if they're just saying that to get you to spread your legs? I would do that. Men will say anything to get laid. I mean, especially when it's a stripper. The tall tales men have told her are probably Mount Olympus size or Mount Everest size, whatever. You can't take her advice about this because it's probably because like most of the people who are going to her like the regular customers, they're probably like like lawyers or businessmen, or, something like that. But it's not like they're millionaires and owning a business. Okay, I can picture that, but I think talking to a stripper like that, you're only doing that to you know be able to do whatever kind of sex you want to them. So and then like, do you really want to take advice from a man that goes to strip clubs? That seems like a guy who's kinda off. Don't you think so? I don't know. You gotta be careful who you take advice from.
how you should be operating and how the men around you should be operating. Like, it just changes your brain. Like, for example, I live alone, and this is all off of my
You don't have a choice. You're a stripper. No one wants a serious relationship with you, hence you're not gonna find a partner to live with. You will always live alone as long as you're a stripper. I mean, I'm not impressed because a stripper can afford an apartment, because every stripper that works enough hours can afford an apartment because you're not being taxed on the money. I mean, if you're not reporting your tips, which I'm assuming you're not, you report your hourly fee, okay, and then of course the government knows you're going to be tipped, but like you report like literally 20% of your tips, so the IRS doesn't come at you, right? Okay, so you're getting a lot of tax-free money. I mean, I've been a waiter, and like I didn't report my tips. Some people do. I didn't. But like I work part-time. So anyway, the point is, if I'm a waiter and other waiters did the same thing, you don't report your tips. So that's like a lot of extra money if it adds up throughout the year. So yeah, if you're a stripper working full time, you should have plenty of money to be able to have your own place. Or like a bartender. A bartender on tips alone can pay rent because you're not going to report all of your tips, because if you did that, well then obviously you wouldn't have enough money. But if you keep 80% of your tips unreported as a bartender, oh, you're set. And you're going to make rent in sometimes a day.
titty money. Everything I have is off of my titty money and my ability to seduce, and I think I'm pretty good at it. Um, but I have all of this now. If you're living with roommates and you become friends with other people who have roommates, like, you think that that's normal. If you're around people who are living alone and then the next step is to buy a house, and then eventually you're around all these people who have houses, you're going to look at the people with roommates as like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just naturally.
No, it's people live. Well, and also it depends on culture. Okay, so I've known lots of foreigners. They all live together, and then they don't get their own place until they get married, but that's their culture. So I can't say that she's right on this because living where I live, and growing up, I've known lots of people from different countries, and to them, it's abnormal to live alone if you're single. And if you're start dating and it's serious, then that's when you together get your own place because you're gonna get married. So, and then also a lot of foreign born people or their culture is a lot more family oriented. So like it's normal to have you know the just extended family living together because that's just normal, and it has nothing to do with anything she just said. Now, also in America, anyway, um, the housing market is horrible because of our Biden presidency that let in all those illegal immigrants. So the more illegal immigrants we let into the country, the higher the housing market goes up. So if you want lower rent, you got to kick out the illegals because it's just basic economics. When you have millions of more people in the country looking for homes and places to live, well, demand is going to drive up the prices. So imagine, supposedly it was, the numbers changed. There were millions of people Biden led into America. Okay, so I've heard numbers vary, okay, but 50 million seems like a good number because I mean, I've heard that number years. But anyway, 50 million is a common number that they use. Okay, so that's 50 million more people that need a house. 50 million more people that are using our tax dollars for whatever, food stamps or medical expenses. Anyway, all that adds up, drives up housing. So if you're just a regular person with like a basic job, you can't afford your own place anyway because everything's gone up. So the roommate thing is an option, and there's nothing wrong with having a roommate. Like if you want to get like a 2 bedroom apartment. Remember, she lives in Atlanta. The cost of living in Atlanta is low compared to the East Coast and the West Coast. Like the coasts are very expensive to live, and that's just how it is because that's where everyone wants to live. Hence demand. So like I remember living in Houston. You could get like a 3 bedroom house for $1,000 a month. In Los Angeles, that's like a bachelor. So anyway,
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like the biggest gift when dating wealthy men is changing your mindset to be at that vibration. It's just different. It's not a scarcity thing. And I would say that's the biggest thing you get from them. Obviously, they should be paying for the dates and everything, but it's like, why the fuck are you gonna?
she's so independent, but the man's supposed to still pay for everything. See, but at least she's keeping that mentality. It's like women expect men to pay for everything. That's why a man doesn't care about a woman's money because a woman never pays for the date.
Uh, why are you gonna have your hand out for somebody to pay for your nails, pay for your hair, when I feel like if you're such a high value woman, you should be doing that yourself?
That's not the definition of a high value woman. A high value woman is a woman between the age of 16 and 24 because that's the most fertile time of a woman's life. And that is her value, fertility. That's a high value woman. The age of 16 through 24, those 8 years were the most valuable years of a woman's life because that is when she is the most fertile. And during those 8 years is when she should be 100% focused on finding her husband, not having fun, not having a hoe phase, not starting in an OnlyFans. Now, you can go to school. There's nothing wrong with doing that because like you can meet a nice guy in college. But you know, being a hoe, dating around, wasting your youth on guys who just want to pump and dump you, no, that's the worst thing you can do. You should look for a man that you want to build with build a family with. Look for a guy that treats you right. Look for a guy that values your time. Like look for a guy that wants to make you happy. Look for, a good person. Look for a man that has the same values as you. But if you're looking for just material things, well, you're probably not going to find a man because you're just going to find a guy who has options who's just gonna dump you after a few months, like all of her boyfriends do.
That's what I think. And you can get it done very cheaply to where it looks great. Like, I just don't agree with. And the Shira Seven thing too. I saw her talking this morning, and she was talking shit about girls on OnlyFans and saying that like it wasn't a classy thing to do. But everything that you are promoting online is essentially girls whoring themselves out. And even if you are talking about girls withholding sex until they get certain bills paid for, that's
Okay, and then those women are red flags. Never stay with a woman or date a woman who uses sex as a form of reward, or if you don't buy my or whatever, pay for my nails, whatever, then you can't have sex. Just buy. Okay? So the market right now where you go on X, because if you look at one, you're gonna get recommended 30. That's just how it is. You'll see an e-girl. You'll see a girl in cosplay, and then you look at a couple more of her posts, and it'd be like, you know, um, I'm a dommy mommy or whatever, like looking for a guy to pay for my nails. Okay. See, that is that subculture. So we do have a simp nation. Okay. So the girls that do it online, they have one thing in common. They have an OnlyFans as well. And so, but they have other social media. So, like, they have an OnlyFans, but then they'll have an Instagram and an X or whatever, a TikTok. So on the TikTok, X, and Instagram, they go, "Hey, can someone pay for my nails?" You know, or like they go on Tinder and like they look for someone who wants to pay for their nails or help pay for like one of their bills. But the one thing those women are not going to have is a serious relationship, and it's going to be fickle because the man is going to get what he wants, and is going to get bored of what he's getting from you eventually, and then he'll disappear, and then you'll just be on the internet again looking for another sucker or simp to pay for your nails or pay for whatever. That's why these girls are always, looking for another guy to pay for stuff. I mean, I don't know her name, but I just saw some random chick, and I've noticed that like every every third post where she gets her nails done, she's asking for someone else to pay for her nails. It's because, um, the man who did it the last time doesn't stick around because he got what he wanted. So imagine if she was just normal and was in a relationship with a guy who likes or respects her and wasn't, posting like sex crap. She would have a man, they would probably be living together, and he'd be happy to pay for anything she wanted because, guys like it when their girlfriend's happy. So if that means paying for the nails, they'll do it. But it's not like oh, you better pay for it. He's just doing it because it makes her happy. So he wants her happy. I don't know.
still a form of sex work. Like the center is still sex, and the center is still these men. And I heard something else that I found very interesting this morning, and it was talking about how women are categorized as extremely emotional after sex, which I don't disagree with. But then it's like, well, if you think about men are the ones who are paying for it. Men are the ones who will kill over it, that are always horny for it, that will leave their wife for it. So who is really more
50% of marriages end in divorce. Women initiate 80% of divorces. It has been documented. Women cheat the most. Women initiate divorce the most because, they're hypergamy. They think they found someone better. I mean, this has been documented to death. Anyway,
Emotional about sex? Who really needs it more? Yeah.
it's women because men, once they get sick of women or sick of the girl, whatever, they replace the sex with, just more hobbies, just whatever, working out more. Just they like their lives aren't ruined, okay? And then also because there's plenty of whores around, a man doesn't mind paying for sex. Trust me, there's you can go on X and you will see women advertising as escorts. I've seen so many OnlyFans girls on my X feed, and they're like, "I do meetups," which is code for, you can pay to have sex with me. I mean, it has never been more easier as a man to get laid. It has never been easier, and I'm talking about for the average man, like the average man who's quote unquote invisible to women, because there's so many women who are sex workers. I mean, I've been messaged, not recently, but I've been messaged before where by a few women who are like, "Hey, I do meetups." Like, the prostitutes seek you out, and this happened on Instagram. Anyway,
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But back to the like withholding of it, it's still centering sex and it's still centering men. Like if you truly want a life that you love to where you're not stuck and dependent on a man, go back to school, start your business, like do something. Do a lot of something. I feel like the reason Shira is so successful right now is because we are in a struggling economy. And I think it's great what she's done. I listen to her a lot, but that is because I'm a stripper. Like everything she says rings true. But to a normal woman, I don't agree with it. Like you cannot put someone who lives off of men into the like you can't. It's just two categories. You can't switch them over unless you're I don't know gonna marry. It's just not a good
yeah,
idea.
but remember, most women are dumb, and also, women are best at keeping women single. Like if you're a woman and you want relationship advice, never take advice from a single woman, never take advice from a divorced woman, only take advice from a happily married woman with kids. But happily married. Not because there's too many women that hate their husbands and post on social media and just bitch about it. So like don't take advice from them either. You really have to be careful who you take advice from.
Idea. And even finding the rich men have so much more access to cheat on you. And they're so much more sneakier about it. And you're not going to win. The only way you're going to win is to recognize, okay, I have this.
See, the common factor is her. The men don't cheat on her. The men aren't in a relationship with her. That's what she doesn't realize. You're a stripper. So if you're with a rich man, he's not with you. He's with your vagina, and it gets old after a while, and he has options, so he's moved on. It's not that hard. If you were a barista at Starbucks and met that same man, you'd be in a relationship because he considered you normal and not some object. Once again, who you who you surround yourself in your life changes everything. So, if you're a sex worker and someone approaches you and they know you're a sex worker, okay, well, like they're not thinking I'm gonna marry this woman. But if you're like, whatever, the regular chick who works at McDonald's and a man approaches you, he's not he's actually thinking you're a human being.
Limited window of time where society says that I am young and hot and valuable, and then after that window of time, it's done. So it's not necessarily like you seeing yourself that way. It's you seeing, okay, this is how the world sees it. So I'm going to do the most that I can in the short amount of time I have to uplift my life, uplift my education, get into better situations and around better crowds of people, and then I won't be dependent on anybody. No man.
And see, with that mentality, she's never gonna get a man. If her mentality is I don't need a man, she's never gonna have a committed relationship. That's just how it is.
That's how I see it personally. And I feel like I mean, I've been a stripper almost 3 years now. I started when I was 23. So
Don't brag, because you've wasted your peak years as a whore instead of trying to find a relationship. And so no man of any value, like no good person, is gonna want to date you now. And don't be surprised when you're 30 in the same situation. And it's gonna be harder to make that money because you're not gonna be as good looking.
I feel like I know more than the average person, seen more than the average person, because it's a wonderful dream, you know, to think like, okay, this man wants to go on a date with me, like, let me charge him my utilities bill. Like, it's a wonderful dream to think that, but the man is not going to respect you the more you have your hand out. You know, it's so interesting too, because at the beginning of when I started dancing, I used to think like, oh, like all these men are going to look down on me because I do what I do. And it's true, some do, but
They all do.
it is worse for a man to look at you as if you have no money. And you
Men don't care about a woman's money. This chick is giving the worst advice. I think the only advice worse she could give is like drink gasoline and smoke cigarettes. See, like, I don't like what like what is she talking about?
need to be helped. So, do what you gotta do. That's what I think. But yeah, I wouldn't date for money. I wouldn't. I mean, I've seen it in my own family. You know, how do I, I, I keep getting these allegations of people saying that I tell all their business, but I never use names.
You do though. You do. She does. I mean, we've seen shows where she talks about a man like coming to the strip club, but he lies to his wife and he tells his wife he's off somewhere, but he's really renting a room at this hotel. I mean, like she gave crazy details, and I forgot it, but she gave crazy details where it's like, oh, well, if I lived in your city, I would know who that guy is because she's like, he's a multimillionaire, blah blah, whatever. There's been several videos where she's just tells way too much information, and I'm shocked that she still makes videos actually because I'm surprised someone hasn't like you know I mean like not like done anything bad to her, but I mean like legally done something to her.
Names, never show photos, and I never give too many identifying information.
Oh
Well,
yes
never
you
too many
do.
identifying details.
Yes you
For the
do.
most part, sometimes I do, but for
Yeah
the
you
most part,
do.
I don't.
Well, you
So
just said you do.
really bothers me that people say that. But just in my own family, I've seen somebody marry, and it wasn't necessarily for money, but then the person became very wealthy, and then she lived off of alimony. But then it's like, you give your life, this person traumatizes you, this person is, you know,
So if you know her family, you know exactly who she's talking about. This I swear she's retarded.
in AA meetings till this day, and then you're living off of their money, but then
Okay,
like
so the AA meetings are just I mean, is she joking with this? She's giving way too many details. It's a person in her family that they're divorced. She's living out the alimony and she goes to AA meetings. I mean, like that's very precise. That's kind of like an exact description of someone without using their name. Give me a break.
you've been so traumatized for life to where you didn't start again with somebody new. It just let me not just talk too much shit. My point is always have something else going on
This girl's
around
retarded.
you and date somebody who's in your career field or can at least help
No, 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 no. So you're telling me that you're gonna date a sex worker. So you're telling me she just said date someone in your career field. So she's going to date a sex worker. Well, what are we doing? This is horrible advice.
you learn more about what you want to do. And even if it's not what you want to do, be around somebody who is business minded. Because regardless of what you want to do for a career, if you can at least get around somebody who teaches you how to buy a business and run a successful one, it's worth more. It's worth more than somebody paying you rent. Yes, and that is coming from a stripper. A stripper.
Which is why it should go in one ear and not the other.
One last anecdote. My best friend
Uh,
is in medical school right now,
uh,
and she's working so hard to be the rich man. But she right now is doing autopsies as like I guess a part-time job. I don't know. I don't understand the whole thing. And the things that she tells me about what she sees, about how all the homicides that come in are done mostly by men, the women who are killed it's by men, the men who are
these are stats that have been known publicly for decades. Most violent crime is committed by black men. Most victims of violent crime are men, but it's uh exponentially greater amongst black. Um, so yeah, if she's trying to turn this into some like negative thing about men, no, it's just, I mean, what like we gonna act surprised that there's a certain section of our society that's just doesn't know how to act civil. Like if you took black people out of America, America would be the second safest country in the world. It would. I'm not kidding. Like those are real statistics. If all black people in America disappeared, the crime rate would drop so much. America would be the second safest place in the whole world, and that's insane.
are killed it's by men, the police, how the police act in those situations, and the misogyny seen from the police, like all of the things that she tells me, and the way she looks at the world too, and the way that I admire how much she has been able to decenter men, because she really just sees them as sex. Oh, that was the other thing too that I was gonna say, like the withholding sex from people to think that they would spend more money, it's only going to hurt you. If you yourself are sexually repressed and then you're repressing somebody else, like obviously respect is important, consent is very important. I think
What the hell is she talking about? If you withhold sex from someone, if that person has any self-respect, they're going to move on immediately. And especially if you're doing this to some rich guy who has options, unless his kink is paying or doing what you say. Now, there is a section of guys who do get off on that. Okay. That's why you have simflation, and that's why you do have girls posting, "Oh, I need someone to pay for my nails." Okay. But that's a very, small subculture of, the BDSM thing. But because they call them financial dominatrix. It's Look it up on YouTube. There's thousands of videos.
I think there should be like some kind of relationship, a valuable relationship established before doing anything, but it's only going to hurt you. You're going to have more energy if you are not frustrated, and then you're going to be able to make more money, have more ideas. Like this idea that we should just not have sex at all unless this man pays for my rent. Like it just, I don't agree with it. But yeah, back again to the autopsy thing, like placing all this importance on men and letting men be the sole providers of your life and your money when they're the one doing all the homicides. Like I have one friend too who, she's not even a friend, but she was just telling me about how she had this man paying for everything, and then he was paying for her apartment, and then he raped her. Just came in one day, boom, raped her.
No, because the understanding is if I'm paying for everything, obviously I gotta have sex anytime I want. Come on, people. Like, let's be serious here. So a man is paying for your apartment and all the bills associated with the apartment, and you're not supposed to have sex with him. I've known a few women like that where they had a guy paying for stuff, and the guy had access to her vagina 24/7 because that's just the understanding. Like, why else would a man pay for everything and, like, only talk to you maybe twice a week, but he's still paying for everything? So don't you think that's kind of obvious what's going? I mean, come on, like we have to like stop with letting women get off being stupid. And so it's like stuff like this just drives me crazy. She wasn't raped.
Which I don't know. That's a rougher situation to be in, so I can't really speak on that. Cannot speak on that at all. But you just don't.
Then why are you speaking on it? Once again, and also this is another example of her giving way too much information about someone else's private life.
Don't want to be in that situation. Like everybody makes it look very hype online and on social media, but in real life, it's not. You never want to lose your independence, and you don't want to be with somebody too who knocks your self-esteem down so much that you can't get back up.
You're a stripper, so you don't have any self-esteem. God, this is her best video because she has shown that she has no idea what she's talking about and she gives the worst advice. So this video might be the one because I don't know if people are actually taking her advice, which is why I react to the videos that she gives advice to help people out because I don't want anyone taking her advice. And I just think it's crazy that she's talking about Sprinkle Sprinkle, who gives horrible advice. Because there's thousands of videos of people going, "What the hell is she talking about?" So I think it's great. A person who gives bad advice is correcting another person who gives bad advice. I love it. But anyway, it's over. So you guys, have a good Monday, have a good Tuesday, have a good Wednesday, have a good Thursday, have a good Friday, have a good week, have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Don't be a stripper.